Good morning and welcome back to Oxford Presbyterian Summer School. Hope you guys had a good summer, a little bit of a break, and we're happy to be back. For now, we're going to be virtually with videos every week, but eventually hopefully we'll get to be back together in a classroom together. So this week we are talking about rainbows and what message they play in the Bible. So as I always like to do, I want to share a video about how rainbows form.
To make a rainbow, you need three ingredients: sunlight, water, and you. Sunlight, as you probably know, consists of all of the colors in the visible spectrum, as well as a bunch of wavelengths of light that we can't see. And when light travels from one medium, like air, to another denser medium, like water, it slows down and exits the new medium at a different angle than it entered. This is called refraction. In the case of water, light can enter a droplet, bounce off its inner surface like a mirror, and then exit at a sharp angle. Because each color has a different wavelength, they're each slowed to a different degree and refracted at a slightly different angle. So red light will exit the drop at 42 degrees from the angle at which the sunlight entered, but blue light near the opposite end of the spectrum will exit at 40 degrees, with the other colors somewhere in between. The combined effect of this differently refracted light scatters the colors so that you can see them individually. Roy G. Biv. This is also where you enter the equation, because the conditions have to be just right. Rainbows only happen when the sunlight is coming from behind you and is low in the sky. As the sunlight shines into a curtain of raindrops in the air in front of you, only one color from each droplet will refract at the exact angle necessary to directly reach your eye. So in one part of the sky, all the raindrops will bounce red light into your eye. All the other colors from those particular droplets will scatter either too high, too low, or too far to either side for you to see them. But just a few degrees away in the sky, the blue light bouncing out of those raindrops will be the ones to reach you. With all those droplets refracting only a certain wavelength of light that hits your eye, together they create the illusion of a rainbow. So, what creates the bow of the rainbow? Well, actually, rainbows form in a full circle in front of you at an angle of 40 to 42 degrees from your line of vision. This means you'll always be at the center of any rainbow you see, which is kind of a nice thought. But it also means that the Earth is going to block the lower half of the rainbow, so you typically only see the upper arc. However, some extremely lucky skydivers, pilots, and mountaineers have gotten high enough above the horizon, precisely in the right conditions, to see a full circular rainbow. It does exist, but I am perfectly happy just seeing half of the rainbow staying right here on the ground. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking, and thanks especially to our sub-level subscribers who get these videos a little bit early for subscribing. Thank you. If you want to get these videos early, you can get us.
Okay, so a little bit of background about rainbows. So how does this pertain to the Bible? Well, in the story of Noah, which I know that many of you are familiar with, Noah and the Ark, there's a rainbow at the end. So I'm going to read you a little bit of the story of Noah. It was over. The rain had stopped. The flood was gone. The Ark was back on dry ground. The gigantic boat that had been so noisy and full was empty and quiet. All the animals had left to find new homes. Noah and his family were thankful to be alive. They were so glad the flood was over. They piled up rocks to make an altar to God. Then they said thank you to God for keeping them safe. Then God spoke to Noah and his wife and children. Never again will I flood the whole world, God promised. From this day on, there will always be time for planting and picking the food that grows. The day will always follow night. The cold days of winter will always be followed by the warm days of summer, for as long as the earth shall be. I make this promise to you and your children's children. I make this promise to every living being that breathes. Then God said to Noah and his family, look up to the sky. Noah and his family looked up. There in the sky was a beautiful rainbow. I put my rainbow in the sky, God explained. It'll be the sign of promise I have made with you and of all the living things. It's a reminder of the promise between us. Noah and his family went out into the world and found a new home. Every time they saw a rainbow, they remembered God's promise. They told their children and their children's children. Down through the ages, the people of God passed the story of Noah and God's wonderful promise of love. Now it's your turn to pass on the story. So when I think about the story of Noah, I think about being stuck inside this boat with all these animals, which to me is a little crazy because I'm not a huge animal person, but being stuck there for such a long time and just waiting and waiting and waiting because they didn't know when it was going to be over. So I want you to kind of think about a time that you have been waiting for something extra special, and what was the promise at the end of it? Maybe it was a birthday, a vacation, a special time with a special friend. I know that many times I've had to wait for things in my life, and the most prominent in my mind is when I was going to have my children, and we didn't find out if they were going to be boys or girls. We wanted it to be a surprise. So we waited for 9 months to find out who this person was going to be. And the promise at the end was that there was going to be a person. It was going to be a boy or a girl, and we were going to love them very much. So think about the times that you've waited patiently and what the promise is at the end. And think about what your promises mean to people if you've promised and they're waiting patiently for those things. I encourage you this week to maybe make a card or send a message with a rainbow with a special promise that you're going to do something special or helpful to someone around you. Also, when you're free time, go outside and maybe draw some rainbows on the sidewalk or on the driveway to share the word and the promise that God has made to always be in our lives and to provide the things that He does. With that, we're going to say a prayer and we're going to end our session together. Bow your head and pray with me, please. God of the rainbow, thank you for your promise to love and care for our world always. Amen. Have a good week, and we'll see you next Sunday.